Okay, I woke up to a new dev vision today, so I'm going to react to that. So let's just jump into it.
Hello everyone, Guang here. It's great to see you all again. Season 9 shook up the Chronoverse. The brand new team-up system fundamentally evolved how our heroes synergize, injecting fresh, explosive energy into Marvel rivals. We've been thrilled to watch the reworked Black Widow gain a lethal reputation across both quick match and competitive modes, and the reception to our newest hero, Jubilee, has been incredible. The community has truly uncovered her true potential, but as Season 9.5
I don't think Jubilee's potential has been truly uncovered yet. Outside of maybe Aramori, I think truly trying to figure out like what the limits of that character are. I still think that the perception of Jubilee isn't that great at the moment. And I don't think I've seen anyone other than Aramori try to master her. So I think it might take some time before the community starts to warm up to Jubilee and like what she does. I think it's going to take someone doing something crazy to sort of figure it out. Sort of in the same way in the beginning, people thought Wolverine was terrible, and then people figured out that Wolverine was a tank buster. And then, in the very beginning of the game when people didn't know that, and then all of a sudden he was like permabanned. Like I think it's going to take something like that where people figure out like what it is that she does best.
approaches, a darker element is stepping out of the shadows. What chaos will Parker Robbins, the Hood, bring to the battlefield? The Hood is a vanguard, a dynamic gunner who works the razor's edge between mortal mobster and demonic powerhouse, flexibly switching between human and demon forms. Parker lays down relentless frontal cover fire with his twin pistols. Utilizing his mystical cloak, he channels the chaotic energy of Oblivion to manifest protective shields for his allies, while hurling dark magic orbs that warp into barriers, sapping the strength of incoming enemy fire. When the Hood's demonic energy reaches critical point, his inner demon bleeds through, entering half-demon state. His arms mutate into devastating demonic rifles, allowing him to unleash an absolute hailstorm of death. For his ultimate ability, the Hood fully surrenders to the darkness, entering full demon state, transforming into a fully realized gun demon. In this terrifying state, he fires massive, high-impact piercing rounds that completely punch through shields and enemy alike, all while radiating dark energy that grants bonus health to nearby teammates. We've been building the Hood's lore with our friends at Marvel Games and Marvel Publishing for months now, and we are excited for this next step in his story. In the lore, the heroes recently locked the Hood in a temporary holding cell after he murdered Gambit. From behind bars, he actually volunteered to unlock the secrets of the Tablet of Death and Entropy, an artifact capable of communicating directly with the dead. Moon Knight communed with the Tablet, listening to the agonizing whispers of billions of undead souls. These lost voices testify to the cruelty of Apocalypse, accusing the mutant god of orchestrating ties and Eclipse to systematically exterminate entire worlds and races. While the heroes unraveled the web of recent murders and confirmed.
Okay, I'm dying to say this right now, but like there has been 2 minutes of no gameplay footage while talking about like what the Hood does, and this is one of those things that I'm sure there's some people out there that love lore, and I respect them for that. Some people just really love the lore in games and stuff like that. I'm not one of those people. I love gameplay, so all of this talking is just like it's killing me right now. Show me the parts I'm interested in. Let me see the gameplay because that's what I care about most. But it's killing me here. Like I just want to see it. Show me the good stuff.
That Apocalypse himself was struck down by the new wielder of all black, the Necro Sword. This final revelation from the tablet changes everything. Mark Spector now realizes the terrifying truth. A true mastermind is hiding behind the curtain, playing them all like pawns. one that he knows all too well. The curtain drops on this cosmic conspiracy in Season 9.5. Following our August 13th update, a brand new wave of Swing Seal special costumes.
Storm gets a skin. I hope people are happy now. It's a start, but I will say that like skins, I think people have this misunderstanding of how like skins work. In order to make skins, it's a huge process along the way of like, getting concepts, approving concepts, taking those concepts then to 3D artists who then create the 3D files and create the art for that, which includes like a high poly, a low poly, the bake, the texturing, and then from there, that gets sent off to a artist that rigs it and attaches a skeleton to it, and then that skeleton gets applied, or that gets applied to all the animations. In order to get skins made, this is a months long process. This is not something that is done quickly. So whenever people are like, oh, whenever people want to see more skins for a certain character, like Storm, or like some of the other characters, you have to remember that a lot of it is trying to plan months in ahead of time. And they're probably also basing it off of, data in terms of what characters sell skins the most. It's based more off of what people buy skins rather than just than like what characters are played most often. I think a good example of that is Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is not really a meta hero, and she has very much like diminishing value as you get higher in elo because of limitations of her kit. But I think that she gets a ton of skins, and that's probably due to the fact that the people who play Scarlet Witch are spending money, just the same as me who plays Psylocke. Even though I rarely get to DPS on main whenever I want, I collect Psylocke skins as each one comes out. So they keep giving me more Psylocke skins. So I think like now is an opportunity too, especially for, Storm, and remember this whenever you have some of the other heroes, like, if there's a skin for your character that comes out, if you buy it, they're more likely to make more skins for the character. So I'm hoping that this is an opportunity for more people to pick up like the Storm skin and more people to show the support. So that way we can get more of them. You can get more of them in the future. But yeah, like remember that all of like the skin process is not short. I know NetEase makes it look simple with how quickly they bust out skins and stuff, but that whole process takes a long time. So this is not something that they can just do and like, oh, they'll get you a skin in like a month or two. Like, it takes longer just to create the 3D files and go through the meetings than a single season. So yeah, keep that in mind whenever you're thinking about like wanting to ask or hoping to see more skins. Like they're gonna be planning this stuff like a year in advance.
Teams and cosmetics will hit the store. Additionally, the Guardians of Mischief is getting a flare upgrade. We are rolling out exclusive toggleable movement and ability animations for Lady Loki, which you can customize directly in the costume menu. Finally, grab your.
That's cool. So they're creating more animations specifically for Lady Loki. I imagine that, they're using the typical Loki animations, which work fine. Like it works. But if you wanted to add like a more feminine walk to Loki, I bet you that that's probably like sort of the thing that what they're going to do. Because honestly, I didn't think about it because the gameplay doesn't change. So it's like the gameplay is fine, but it's sort of just like one of those things where if making it toggleable, if you want it just the same as if you want Lady Loki or Guy Loki, like you get the choice. I think that creates a lot of options for players and more options for customizable stuff for aesthetic stuff is cool. Players are never unhappy to have more options like that.
Tackle box. The fan favorite Krakow and Reels event returns for Volume 2. As the Marvel Rivals universe expands with every season, so does our file size. While this is the nature of a growing chronoverse, our tech wizards have been hard at work forging solutions. In Season 9.5, we are implementing a massive texture compression overhaul without sacrificing a single pixel of visual fidelity. We are drastically shrinking the game's footprint on your hard drives. PC players can expect a reduction of roughly 40 gigabytes, while PS5 and Xbox versions are expected to decrease by 15 gigabytes. Note, because we are completely repackaging these assets, The initial Season 9.5 update will be larger than usual, but the final installed size will be much lighter. Zhiyong is busy in the lab, fine-tuning.
So that's pretty massive. When it comes to like optimization and, reducing file size, like there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes trying to like figure that stuff out. A lot of companies have their own sort of like way of reducing file size, usually like a custom sort of method to collapse the textures down. Because like what makes the file size big is things like textures. Texture sizes, like even if you don't use max textures, the game still has the max textures downloaded in case you manage to turn them up. So even if you have a 2048 texture that you're down-resing to 256, it doesn't matter. The game file size still has a 2048 in there. So a lot of times, like as the game progressively goes on, you see the skins have textures with it, yada, yada, yada. Like it builds up over time. So it looks like they found a way to compress stuff down, which is fantastic. But that's optimization also for like file size. I don't know necessarily what that means about game performance, because game performance and file size are sort of like two different things. Texture size doesn't really affect game performance that much. Game performance is affected by things like post-processing, effects, and basically like the way you can think about it when it comes to video games and development, there's things that are running what are like real time, right? Real time are things like effects, dynamic things like physics, physics objects, explosions, yada yada. Anything that requires real time rendering. Portals are a good example. For instance, Strange Portals, it's rendering not just the entire screen in front of you, it's also rendering what's on the other side of that screen as well. So it's basically like when a portal pops up, even if you can't see the entire thing beyond the portal, your computer is still rendering both, but it's only visually showing through the portal. So technically it's rendering two screens at once, which is the reason why, back in the day when people were using portals, your computer would chug and slow down because, the game was already not optimized well to render one screen. Now it's rendering two screens on top of each other. You get another portal in there, and now you're rendering three screens, right? So that is one of those examples of like, this is rendering real time, like, effects. There's also a reason why, like when you have things like effects and, abilities and all this stuff going off and it gets into a crazy team fight, there's all this stuff happening on screen all at once. Your computer might start to chug and start to drop in FPS dips because of the fact that now there's a bunch of real-time rendering things that all need to be figured out all at once. That's the kind of stuff that will slow your computer down. The post-processing as well of, lighting, bounce lighting, stuff like that, ambient occlusion, all those types of things, those things tend to slow down your computer more so. Whereas as textures, a lot of times you can keep the texture quality pretty high because once the textures are loaded into the scene, they're loaded. The computer, your PC is like rendering them, but it's like it's already been loaded at like the start of the match. So that's the reason why like texture quality is usually, when in your settings, can usually be bumped up pretty good, but it's everything else that kind of affects performance. So while the file size getting reduced is great, it's fantastic. I'm all for having a reduced file size. I don't know what that means. Like it's optimized for, reduced file size, but I don't know necessarily what that means in terms of your FPS or, improved performance. So I just want to help educate you guys on like the difference in understanding like what to expect, because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be excited for optimization, thinking it means FPS dips and or FPS improvement. I don't think that's what this is. But hey, still, reduced file size is great. The game is already huge, so I'm all for it.
Doing the meta, so keep your eyes peeled for our upcoming balance adjustments. Until next time, ignite the battle.
And as I was complaining about the Dev Vision not having any gameplay of the hood, I realized there is a video of gameplay of the hood. So I'm going to watch that, and then I'm just going to edit that in.
Step aside. The hood's here to finish this. ¡Huepa! El demonio se alza. Sucker! Through the void! Eat shadow! Can't see me! Time to unleash the Face oblivion! Yo soy el final! That's real power. Yo soy el final! That's real power.
Okay, so he can go up in the air. He can go up in the air and use his ultimate, which is that part's interesting, but his ultimate overall is like his ultimate's really boring. It looks like it pierces shields, so I guess that's the reason why it can be like stationary. But I don't know. He looks like a pretty simple character. I think what was interesting is it specifically showed you shooting at Wolverine. And for the most part, most tanks outside of like Devil Dino and Thing don't really have an answer to Wolverine. Even though Mag is ranged and Strange are ranged, like they kind of fall prey to Wolverine a lot. And in my experience, the best way to deal with Wolverine is to go DPS and just sort of mark him and keep him from doing what he wants to do. So the best thing to do is sort of like pressure with ranged abilities. So I can't help but feel it. Maybe they're trying to give you hints of like, hey, the hood works well against Wolverine just by poking him out. Maybe because sometimes devs like to give you things that get you to learn without actually like telling you. Like a good example is like the Heart of Kunlun. When you start the game on offense, the gate that you walk out is at first just the fog, right? And when you're sitting there, you get bored, so you shoot the fog. You realize when you shoot the fog, it disappears. So that way, you're learning before you enter into the match that if you shoot the fog, it'll disappear, right? And on defense, you have time to see the fog, so that way you can shoot into the fog. You'll figure it out just naturally by playing. You want to learn through play. And I'm wondering if here it might not be the same thing. I might be reading too much into it, that they're trying to show you like, hey, here's some ways you could possibly think about how to use the hood's abilities, right? So that acts like a shield. And I guess once it gets full, oh, look at that. When it gets full, you have a left click and a right click. I'm wondering if you can just like hold those both down.
Time to unleash the demon! Face oblivion!
GG no heals. Yeah, you can pierce through. You have an increased health pool here. So it looks like you can destroy his ult. The shift is a mobility move that allows him to go up.
That's real.
Let's see what else we can break down here.
El demonio se alza.
He's healing.
El demonio se alza.
Yeah, it's a lifesteal, I guess. 550 health pool. So tank with range usually has lower health pool. Damage amplification, I imagine.
Eat shadow.
You can phase walk through, so you can't be body blocked. I think that's what that was trying to teach us. So the bubble is a shield, but it also charges his guns. Did they use the team up ever? I don't think that they did. I guess they just focused on his main kit. Yeah. Overall, his kit is pretty simple and straightforward, but simple's not bad. I think that you need a balance. You can't have everything in the game be like super complex. Some kits need to be, simple and easy to pick up, so that way, new players or players that like things that are simple to understand but difficult to master still exist, right? The problem with having too many the Black Cat type characters in the game or Spider-Man type characters in the game is that it appeals to a very niche audience. Some people, would rather practice something very simple and master that than try to manage, a million different combos or things to remember. And I think giving a tank with some serious range to them, serious poke, is not a bad thing, especially to deal with things like flyers or stuff like that, because I imagine like the hood might also be really good into Spidey because now you can actually like poke him and do something a little bit more about him because otherwise it's sort of like a DPS job to sort of manage the Spidey, at least in my opinion. But yeah, I think that the division not the division this uh hood character reveal actually did a pretty good job of like educating us what to expect beforehand. So I'll be curious to try him out when he does come out later and sort of figure out and break down more of what he does because he's giving me a little bit of Devil May Cry vibes, which is nice, which is cool. So yeah, I'm curious to try it out. I wish his alt was a little bit more interesting, but is what it is. Stationary alt with or with shield piercing makes sense, but yeah, looks pretty interesting. I'm curious to try him out. Simple. Hopefully he's one of those ones that's like easy to understand, but not as simple as maybe like Devil Dino, because I think like his kit is pretty limited in terms of like its potential. Hopefully the range on him and some of his abilities give him a little bit more potential than Devil Dino had. Anyway, yeah, that's the hood, and yeah, back to the division. Eyes peeled for upcoming balance adjustments. This division was so short in terms of what to react to. The swimsuit skins look dope. The reduced file size is going to be nice. But overall, I feel like this was kind of like a whole nothing burger. In terms of divisions, not my favorite, but hey, I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Okay, thank goodness there are patch notes, so I have something more to react to. The Devil Dinosaur, our prehistoric pal, is beefing up his bite. Increased maximum health percentage damage dealt by the first 4 attacks of Frenzied Feast from 5% to 8%, and 5th attack from 10% to 12%. When selecting the team up with Jeff the Landshark, increased surf and turf maximum duration from 4 seconds to 5 seconds, and healing effect on allies from 40 to 60. Devil Dinosaur kind of fell off pretty hard after his initial release and the nerf, so this looks like it's trying to bring him back up. But the problem with Devil Dinosaur is that since his kit is relatively simple, it kind of has the problem of Scarlet Witch, where the less skill expressive the kit is, the more difficult it is to sort of balance in terms of bringing numbers up or down, because it can very easily get to a point where you're getting too much value for too little effort. So we'll have to see where this goes. A lot of these numbers here, it's just like you won't be able to really tell what it means in the patch notes, but you'll be able to feel better when you actually get your hands on it. Because once again, games are meant to be played, not read. So this is all this. I remember everything with patch notes is always the same thing. It's cool to look at, but at the end of the day, the video games are meant to be played. So the only way to really understand how this all plays together is to play the game. So that being said, we'll go to Doctor Strange. The Sorcerer Supreme is manifesting more mystical munitions, increase the daggers of Denok's single hit damage from 16 to 18, and projectile charges from 10 to 12. The 10 to 12 is nice, so he can shoot more, which I always felt like he had to reload a little too often. When selecting the team up with Hulk, the Gamma Maelstrom cooldown from 8 seconds to 6 seconds. Interesting. I know everyone was using the Invis team up. Nobody was using the Hulk, so I think they saw that, so they're like, okay, let's buff the Hulk one, so that way it gives people more of an option as to which one they want to use. But it does look like he's getting a lot more effectiveness in terms of his projectiles, so that part is nice. Magneto, Master of Magnetism, is adding a little extra lift to his offensive strikes when channeling chaos. When selecting the teal with Scarlet Witch enhanced effect, the metallic chaos projectile hit now adds a minor launch up effect to enemies. Interesting. Did he need more? Magneto is already like one of the strongest tanks in the game. Like, I don't like, why did he need a minor launch up to the enemies? And like, what? Why? I don't understand this one. Maybe I'm missing something, but that doesn't make sense. Penny Parker, as far as core planting, gets a minor adjustment to sync, new team up. While Penny recalibrates her web shooters for a fair fight, we're slightly weakening Penny's control and survivability. In particular, the immobilize effect applied to her cyber web snare was too frequent and oppressive, leading to poor counter experience for her enemies. We decided to increase the cost of applying this control, but in return, we will also increase the freedom of her secondary fire. Remove the direct immobilize effect upon hitting enemies with a sniper web snare. Oh, wait, what? New effect now applies a stack of web tracer and a 30% slow effect for 1 second. The web tracer lasts for 5 seconds. If an enemy with a web tracer is hit by the snare again, they will be immobilized for 0.7 seconds. Uh-oh. Adjust the cyberweb snare to be a charge-based ability with a maximum of 2 charges. Use the bonus health cap provides... Wait, 200 to 150. Wait, I don't know how to feel about this. Like, Penny's sort of identity is built around her being like the anti-dive, the snare. She was supposed to be the one that was sort of like an answer to a lot of these really fast-moving characters. So imagine it'd be hard enough to hit a web on a fast-moving target, but imagine trying to hit 2. And now, like, if you can predict a strange ultimate, you could web him out of it, or if you could react to a Spidey, you could web him out of his ult, but now you have to try and pre-web them before they're going to do it and then hit it again on top of it. Like this, I get like you might find getting webbed repeatedly kind of annoying, but that's kind of what Penny does. Why take that away? I don't understand, because Penny's supposed to be the anti-dive. She's supposed to be the way to like shut down those fast-moving targets. And if you have to hit them twice with 2 webs, like it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I play a lot of characters that are divey, move quick, but I never really had a problem with being webbed. I don't think I agree with this one. I'll have to see how this one plays out, but this one seems, man, I feel bad for all my Penny friends because this seems really bad for her, because Penny already wasn't strong at like, being a versatile tank that can do everything like Mag can. So what she did, she had to do well. So taking that away and giving her what exactly? I'm gonna be honest, I don't really understand this one. I'm gonna have to try this one out as soon as I can, like in the practice range or something, but that's questionable. Rogue, the Southern Belle is absorbing hits and keeping her defenses sturdier under fire. Increase the damage reduction multiplier while in defensive stance from 55% to 60%. Increase regenerative shield capacity from 250 to 275. So you're getting stronger in terms of like your defensive capabilities, but like maybe this will help. But I don't think 55 to 60% is gonna be a whole lot. When you're using the Gambit team up, you were just blowing up. It was just always better, in my opinion, to use the Mag team up, because using the Gambit team up turns you into basically like a third DPS. So I don't believe that tanks should be just another DPS. I think that tanks should be tanks. I think that tanks should pull attention, pull resources, and defend their team, from divers or countering certain, tank ultimates and certain enemy ultimates and stuff like that. Like I think a tank's job should be to tank and to protect. I don't think it should be to deal damage. So, the Gambit team up to me was, for the most part, not super useful, because you didn't need you didn't need a stronger tank for damage in the same way that you just didn't need a third DPS over a second tank. Like, the survivability to tank is what's most important. I don't know. This is a slight buff, which is nice, but I don't think it's going to be enough to really change much of how I've been playing anyway. I've always just been using the Mag team up because I would just always prefer being a tank over just being a third DPS. But that's just me. We'll see how that goes. It's nice, but I don't think this will be enough to change people's perception of Rogue at the moment. Venom. We are reeling in the symbiote's revenous resilience to ensure swing. Okay. Reduce the bonus health provided by symbiote resilience from 100% to loss of health to 110%. Increase Venom swing cooldown from 8 seconds to 10 seconds. Okay. So, yeah, the overshield, he was getting too much of it. And the swing cooldown means that he can't do it as often. He's got to wait an extra couple of seconds. This might be enough. He does have a lot of damage with like the team up and stuff. He's able to dive backline, kind of like solo get kills. So this will help it. So he still has the power, he still has the damage, but he just doesn't quite have the health or the strength or the ability to do it as often, which might be enough. And if you are struggling with Venom in your games, the solution to Venom is the same solution as there is for Cap as it is for Hulk. A DPS just marks him as soon as he comes in. Even if I'm playing Psylocke, who's typically not known for damage, as soon as Venom swings in, I shoot the Venom, I make him burn all of his cooldowns, I force him to swing out, and then I go and attack the enemy team. If I'm playing Rogue, I beat the crap out of the Venom, and once I beat the crap out of the Venom, and I either get the kill or I force him to leave, then I attack the enemy team. If you go and you leave a Venom alone, and you race to the enemy's backline, as Venom races to your backline, you are racing to see which team kills the backline first, right? I personally don't like playing that way. I personally like to wait for the Venom to dive in, burn his cooldowns so it forces him to leave faster, and then dive the enemy backline and attack them while the Venom is basically useless during that 8 to 10 seconds. So I'm kind of like on that rhythm rather than just trading backlines. The only way trading backlines really works is if you are diving with another tank at the exact same time, and that like Venom is solo diving. Let's say you on Star-Lord or you on Psylocke are diving with a Venom yourself. That means that you'll probably delete the enemy backline faster than a solo tank Venom is going to delete your backline. So you have to sit there and ask yourself, like, which is more beneficial for me to do in this moment? Yeah, sometimes you can race to the enemy backline if you know you have the advantage, but if you know that you don't, sometimes it's better to defend your backline. Ask yourself these questions when you're dealing with dive tanks. That'll help you better for this season. Let's see. Duelist, Black Panther. Pulling back slightly on its elemental ferocity, conserve energy. When selecting the team up with Storm, reduce the area damage to the enemies from 40 to 30, increases cooldown from, I don't know what this is. I'm gonna be honest. I don't encounter Black Panthers too often, and when I do, I just kind of poke them out. So I don't know how much this really affects them. I'm gonna be real. Cyclops. Scott's optic blasts are bouncing back faster and blasting harder when Gambit's hands him ace. Increasing cooldown reduction provided to ricochet force optic blast from 0.15 seconds to 0.25 seconds. Okay, when selecting a team up with Gambit, increase the concussive beam attack frequency boost from 10% to 15%. Okay, I don't know what this is going to change too much. I know Cyclops was in a bad spot, so some slight buffs are probably good. This doesn't look too crazy. Maybe enough to just bring him back into a state where he's playable again. Because yeah, he went from being uber power broken to nerfed to being kind of not one of the better picks. So maybe this just brings him back up to where he needs to be. Elsa Bloodstone. The monster traps are less like this monsters. Yeah, the traps of the Elsa are the most annoying part. So when selecting team with Devil Dinosaur, reduce the health of an activated smoking snare trap from 100 to 50, and its controlled duration from 1.5 seconds to 1.2 seconds. Okay, so this will help. Hopefully you can destroy it a little bit easier, because I don't know. Every time I also placed down a trap, even if you started shooting it right away, I often found I couldn't destroy it anyway, and then it would just disappear and it would be there, and it was snaring you for quite a long time. Hopefully this brings her down to a point where it's a little bit more reasonable, because yeah, this part was definitely really annoying. Okay, Hell of the Gods' Death is showing a mere sliver of mercy and calling upon the horrors of the deep. When selecting the team up with Namor, reduce the undead monster single hit damage from 15 to 10. That's good. Yeah, I feel like everybody was using that same team up. Hella was a pretty decent spot, so good to see her get taken down a bit. Moon Knight, Khonshu's avatar leaps with greater pace. Adjust Crescent Dart and Moon Blade balance. Damage decay from 30% to 20% per bounce. When selecting the team up with Cloak and Dagger, reduce Luminous Moon cooldown from 15 to 12 seconds. Base effect, increase dash duration from 0.3 seconds to 0.35. And 3 seconds of healing effect of 20 health after leaving the phase state. This looks like a little bit of a buff to the team up, at least, because I don't know. Moon Knight's really not that threatening. I haven't seen Moon Knights much at all this season. Yeah, it looks like they're giving him a little bit of buff, because yeah, he just hasn't been played at all. I think with like how much constant damage there is just outgoing and like happening in the game, Moon Knight, who was supposed to just sort of like sit there and bunker, just didn't quite see the same amount of usefulness after the team ups, because his whole playstyle was to sort of sit and spam down a choke and, eventually build your ult really quickly and then just hit it right away. But, with how fast paced the game is, Moon Knight just didn't really, his whole playstyle just didn't really work in season 9. So that's a buff to help him. Phoenix. Oh man, I don't even know what to expect, but I'm guessing people are probably going to be pissed. Jean's cosmic detonations are sparkier and brighter, especially with Southern Bells around. Increase the damage dealt when detonating sparks from 35 to 40. Oh, everyone's going to love that. Increase the area damage from 12 to 15. When selecting a team up with a rogue, increase telekinetic beatdown damage dealt from 45 to 55. As a rogue player, I guess there's going to be a lot more people maybe playing Phoenix with me. Maybe this will be enough to like bring her back up. She wasn't a bad spot, so I know people aren't going to like that, because people hate Phoenix, but she wasn't a very good hit scan, and objectively, she needed a buff. But I'm sure this is going to piss off a lot of people, just because people just don't like her kit and the way that it works, right? But if I don't like the way a lot of the dive heroes work in the game too, so I don't really have a problem with Phoenix. Wolverine, looking to tapping into his rage and carry that fray. Berserker Rage Adjustment. Increase the rage gain per hit taken from 5 to 8. Adjust rage decay timer from strain after 4 seconds of no rage gained after 5 seconds at maximum rage. Reduce the decay rate from 15 to 10 seconds. So Wolverine's getting a buff. So I think this helps a lot of Hulk players, because the Hulk team up with Wolverine, I heard, is pretty decent. And yeah, I think for it's very difficult, because melee heroes, especially in this new age of season 9 with all the team ups, there's just so much damage all over the place. I can only imagine it's pretty difficult to be playing a full melee hero when it just feels like you're just constantly getting poked out. So I guess that this sort of makes sense. Scarlet Witch. When selecting the team up with Doctor Strange, base effect, the ability has an 8-second cooldown, 8-second duration when activated. I don't even know how to say that word. Burst is replaced with Mystic Burst, allowing magic missiles to be fired freely with no energy cost. Enhanced effect becomes toggle type ability. Okay. I don't know what any of this means. I haven't been playing Scarlet Witch much at all this season since the changes, so I have no idea. This needs to be played. I don't know what this means now. But because at the end of the day, it's still Scarlet Witch. She's still going to suffer from the fact that she was going to work well in low elo, and she's not going to work well the higher that you climb, due to how the kit is designed. It's a easy, simplistic kit that doesn't have a lot of skill expression, and it's more about understanding how the game works than it is about necessarily like outplaying a lot of your opponents, and about the timing of your engages, where you're attacking from, etc. Okay, strategist Gambit. Oh my goodness. When selecting the team up with Magneto, adjust the launch up frequency of spell field from dude, nerf his ultimate, please. Oh my god. Okay, you guys know I'm the first to go to bat for the devs when they do stuff right. I'm the first to, trying to find a nuanced take and everything like that. But yo, this dude has been in perma jail since his release. Why are we buffing his team up only? Where's the nerf to his ultimate? I don't get it. I actually like the way that Gambit's kit is designed. He seems like a fun support to play. His neutral kit offers a lot of choice in terms of, do you do damage? Do you heal? Do you wait for a cleanse? Like, there's so many things to think about. His mobility gives you a lot of options. His neutral kit is really well designed that makes me want to play Gambit, but I have never bothered to learn Gambit because there's no point in learning a character that's going to be stuck in permajail. Well, I mean, we just buffed his neutral before. Like, why are we not just adjusting his ultimate to tone it down so that way his ultimate is strong but not broken, and his neutral is just really good as long as you play? I don't know. I don't know why he's getting a buff with his team up when he's been in perma jail. I don't know. This doesn't. I don't understand. Okay, Jubilee. Jubilation is packing slightly more punch top of her radiant. Increased energy plasmoid single hit damage from 10 to 11. Single hit healing from 14 to 15. I think the general consensus is for a lot of people that they didn't like seeing Jubilee on their team. They thought she was pretty weak. So this is probably to adjust for that and adjust for player perception. Maybe this will be enough to help change player perception, but I don't know. I haven't seen too many Jubilees in my games. And typically a lot of people, I think, just don't even understand how Jubilee's kit works. A lot of people tend to run away, even on the same team, like run away from their own Jubilee's bubbles. And it is very difficult to sort of tell with all the visual clutter going on the screen of like where to stand with Jubilee's bubbles. So it's not super obvious either. So I think this is like, I remember like back in the day when the game was still new, Cloak and Dagger would ult and people didn't know to stand in Cloak and Dagger trail and that it heals. So I'm wondering how long it's going to take for people to realize like exactly how you get healed from Jubilee before her win rate starts to improve. Loki, increase mystical missile projectile speed from 100 meters to 100 meters. I think this is like, they do this thing where they keep increasing the speed of projectiles to the point where it's like, they just keep moving faster to the point where it's like, it's no longer really projectiles anymore. It's kind of like Luna Icicle. They increase the speed at which the icicle travels to the point where it's just like, it's practically a hit scan with how fast it travels now. I don't really like increasing projectile speeds on everything often enough to the point where it's just like, it's just faster. It's the same with like Namor. Namor's spears used to be a slower projectile and they increased it to where it's feels almost like a hit scan. I know that why they do this is because it's easier to balance when everything is more consistent. So the faster the speed, and the more consistent it is, the easier it is probably to balance. But I don't necessarily agree with increasing the projectile speed all the time. White Fox, reduce the energy cost of Kumiho Unleashed ultimate ability from 4800 to 4300 after casting automatically to apply 9 effect to all allies within a 10-meter radius for 3 seconds. Blessed by the 9 effect. I don't know what that is, but I do know that White Fox was sort of lackluster in that her ultimate ability was not as good as some of the other like more powerful ones. So reducing the ult cost on it makes sense because for the most part, like if you were ever matching support ult for support ult, like with White Fox, you would just burn right through it anyway. So most White Foxes, especially because you actually had to do damage, you actually like it's a well designed support ultimate in my opinion, but it was just it's very lackluster. I don't think the problem was her neutral; it was the fact that her ultimate was just like wasn't very good. So if you have a lower ultimate cost, it means you're probably going to build your ult faster and you're going to want to use it more often. I would imagine you're probably going to want to race to your ultimate and then use it before the enemy team can get their support ultimates up and take advantage of that. But yeah, okay. I don't like this. I'm gonna be honest. I'm usually the first to go to the bat for the devs when I see and sort of understand like what they're doing. Like, okay, the Moon Knight buff, sure, I understand why Phoenix got buffed, but I imagine that this one is just going to piss off a lot of players. I imagine a lot of people are going to be upset. You've pissed off the Penny mains. You buffed Wolverine, so you've made tank players' lives even worse. Oh, and by the way, one of the answers to Wolverine was Penny, so that made it worse. You nerfed you nerfed Venom. The buff to Rogue seems minor. I guess you buff Strange and Devil Dinosaur, but that doesn't really matter because, yeah, the buff to Strange is nice, so it's more like quality of life. It's not really huge. Devil Dinosaur, not that many people play anyway. You nerfed Elsa with a slap on the wrist. You buffed Cyclops to get into a better spot like this, and you buffed Scarlet Witch. Like, none of this addresses any of the main. It doesn't address a lot of the problems of the stuff that people have been feeling. In my opinion, it doesn't really improve things. Like Mantis didn't get touched, Black Cat didn't get touched. Like what are we doing here? We hot fixed Psylocke day one because she was too oppressive, and understandably so. She deserved to be nerfed 100%. Like with the team ups and everything else in the state that she was in on day one, 100% had to be nerfed. I'm totally okay with that. but Black Cat and Mantis go untouched this patch. I don't understand what I'm reading here. But, how do you go from season 9 being like one of the craziest patches, huge biggest drops to this, especially saying like, oh, we'll hotfix things as they come up. It's like you hotfix stuff day 1, then you didn't touch anything after that. And now you've had 4 weeks to sort of collect data, and this is what we got. I haven't looked online, but man, oh man, I can already tell that everyone's going to be pissed off. I mean, I'm still going to play the game. Our Rival is still going to be a fun game, but like the bans haven't really changed, and all you did with this patch was just ruin and makes tanks' lives more miserable. And you're just going to continue convincing everyone that the only role that NetEase cares about is the strategist role. Because honestly, like all of the changes for the strategist role are whatever to me. It's fine. It's the Gambit buff that just makes no freaking sense. Like, why in the world? He's already in permajail. Why are we still doing this? Oh man, I don't know. I'm heavily disappointed by these patch notes. I'm kind of like, I always say that you need to play the game, in order to understand how things play. But I don't think I really need to play a lot of these changes, because there's nothing super crazy on here that really shakes up any bit of the meta from season 9 to season 9.5. I imagine your bans are still going to be identical. So yeah, that's really disappointing. I was really hoping for more. A nerf to Black Hat, a nerf to Mantis. Yeah, I don't know. Nerf to Gambit ult, but disappointing. I think what's more disappointing is I'm gonna have to hear people complain about it for the next 4 weeks, and I was really hoping not to do that, not to have to deal with that, but is what it is. Oh well, I guess those are the patch notes. Okay, I've got the win rates here as well. I forgot to look over those, so I'm gonna bring this up and try and understand what I saw. A quick correction: I might have mistaken when I said Gambit got buffed. The team might have actually gotten nerfed, but I don't think that really changes my overall sentiment that like the problem wasn't that Gambit's team up needed a buff, it was that Gambit's ult needed a nerf. So yeah, I'm gonna look over the win rates here and try and make sense of whatever it is I just saw. But the problem is that I really can't make sense of it because of the fact that Mantis is sitting at a 58.99% win rate across all ranks, with a 4.63% pick rate. That's an insanely high win rate for this character that we didn't see get touched at all. Now, granted, like Psylocke got nerfed pretty hard the first day because she was too oppressive, right? Her win rate shot up real high, probably I think into like the 61% range or higher. And here you have Mantis, who's just a couple points shy, I think, of like maybe where Psylocke was on her first day. And that's over the course of 4 weeks, and she's untouched. The Penny nerf, the win rate on Penny is misleading. Penny just works really good under certain scenarios, so people tend to pick her for those certain things. I just don't really agree with like the way that they change Penny. Storm win rate, I have always thought that Storm has been sort of a sleeper pick. It doesn't surprise me that she's doing well across all ranks. Ultron, Rocket, once again, nerf the res beacon and give him his legs back. Ultron, too much value to how easy it is to play. Black Panther, this makes sense because he's low pub number. I imagine if I set the celestial above, it would change. Venom got a slight nerf. Psylocke Psylocke is still doing well. People have been freaking out saying Psylocke needs a buff. I've thought to myself, she does not. You might not like the way that her kit works right now, but it is still very possible to play her effectively. So whenever people are freaking out that like, oh, Psylocke's 2 weeks, I'm like, she's really not. Loki still across all ranks, 50% win rate, and he got buffed. I don't know why. Bucky's actually finally sitting at a decent win rate. That's surprising. Jubilee, not even that bad. Cap isn't that bad. Rogue isn't that bad. Gambit, this is low, but I imagine if I switch to Celestial above, it's going to be higher. Oh, let's see. Scarlet Witch, Squirrel Girl, Moon Knight, Phoenix. That's the reason why these two got buffed, so I understand that. I'm going to change it to Celestial and above, though, because this is kind of like where you see like the potential of what all the heroes can do. And even still, this is the part that confuses me. You have Mantis here, super high win rate, high pick rate. Untouched. Black Cat, high win rate. Untouched. Daredevil, high win rate. Untouched. Loki, high win rate. Buffed. Groot, decent win rate. Still untouched. Thor's doing well. Magic always kind of does well in her certain scenarios. Rocket, once again, always doing well. Elsa had a 53% win rate and still had a minor nerf. To like, I guess I get that. Psylocke, like I said, I still think that she does really, really well. It's just yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to play her than what it was, because if you relied on her long range poke, you can't do that anymore. You actually have to get in there and have good game sense and timing and target priority. But Psylocke is not bad. Venom, I understand the nerf. Like Mag is sitting at a 52.37%, and he got buffed. I mean, like, it might just be his team up that got buffed, but still, Rogue, slight buff. She was always doing well. Gambit, here you go. This is what I mean. Is like he got no changes to the parts of his kit that are frustrating to play against. He's in permajail. Things sitting this low is kind of surprising. I'll give it that. For the most part, I don't know. White Fox, this makes sense why her ult got buffed, but I realize like her ult got buffed and it makes everyone CC immune upon activation, which seems a little too easy to do. Yeah, I don't know. Like even looking at the win rates here, like none of this makes any sense. Like how did Mantis go untouched? How did Black Hat go untouched? Why did Loki get buffed? I'm really, really confused because like normally I can make sense by looking at the win rates and try and understand what the devs were doing. But even when I look at the win rates and compare them to the patch notes here, I don't understand what the goal was, because the bans are still going to be the same. You're still going to have to ban Mantis. You're still going to have to ban Black Hat. You're still going to have to ban Gambit. And, you know, for tanks, the answer for, you know, a lot of these dive heroes and for Wolf and stuff was Penny. And now it's not Penny anymore. Or at least I don't think it is. I haven't played the new Penny. I'm not totally sure, but like, I don't understand. I'm really struggling here to try and make sense of anything that I'm seeing, because normally you can attach their choices next to the data, but even the choices and the data don't line up here. I don't know. I gotta say, like, most of the time I read patch notes and I'm like, whatever. I'm still gonna enjoy the game. I'm still gonna have fun. But I will say that I am actually really disappointed by these patch notes. I am less excited for season 9.5 than probably any of the other seasons. This one is just like okay, we get a new tank, you know, new character, which is cool, but it's not going to change much. It's going to feel, if you didn't like the last 4 weeks, you're not going to like the next 4 weeks. That's my prediction. Yeah, I imagine there's going to be a lot of people. There's going to be a dip in like the player count for season 9.5. That's my prediction, at least. Anyway, yeah. I wish I had better news. I wish I could be like the guy that's given everyone a little bit of hope and not being, you know, I'm typically not known as like the reactionary type where it's all doom and gloom, and it's not doom and gloom. Like, you know, they tend to do this a lot where they have like one patch, which is like a nothing patch. It just happens to be that this patch is more nothing than before, or more nothing than usual. But yeah, hopefully, you know, by season 10, they'll shake things up even more and it'll be a little bit more exciting. But yeah, I was really hoping for more to be done this patch. I expected them to do at least a little bit more, but you know, I guess we'll just have to play a little bit more casually and we'll just have to wait and see until season 10. Anyway, let me know if you guys are actually, let me know if anyone's actually excited for this patch. I'd love to hear if anyone's actually looking forward to anything or looking forward to the hood, or, you know, if you disagree with me, because yeah, I'm struggling to find anyone that is actually kind of excited for any of the changes. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you for watching.